Welcome. I'm Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I live in the Villages, Florida. And today I am going to show you how to make an explosion box. Very easy. This won't take you but probably 5 or 6 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be working with the Hearts and Kisses. It's a cling mount stamp set that came out in the January to June 2021 Stampin' Up! Catalog, and this is a bundle that you can purchase. So it comes with the stamp set. There's 9 cling stamps. They're red rubber, and then you've got the punch that punches out the lips and a heart. So we're going to be using this today, so let's go ahead and get started. Now I'm filming this in February of 2021, so this is my shopping code if you decide you want to make a purchase before the end of the month. If you enter this code, then you will get a free gift in the mail from me. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you the box. Now here is the box that I made, and this is using our So Ombre, Oh So Ombre Designer Series paper, which comes in our Celebration catalog, which ends the end of this month, and it is free anytime you make a $50 purchase between now and the end of February. And I've tied some Blackberry Bliss ribbon and punched out the heart and typed some, stamped some lettering. So when you open up the box, now we're going to make the box and the lid. So if we open this, then your box just opens up and explodes like that. And then I've got some kisses in here. And then here is the little card that I made. And this is a Valentine's card that I'm going to be giving my husband. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back together, and then I will show you what we need to do to get this card made. All right, so the first thing we're going to score and cut a piece of, we'll get to the white in just a minute. We're going to score and cut a piece of Bermuda Bay cardstock. Let me get my paper trimmer out. Now, if you don't have a paper trimmer, I highly recommend this from Stampin' Up! It's $25. It's a great trimmer, very easy to use. It has an arm that opens up to 17 inches, so if you're a scrapbooker, it gives you the ability to do that. It also comes in metrics and inches. And, okay, so we're going to take our cardstock, and we're going to cut this at 7.5 by 7.5, or better known as 7.5 square, okay? So let's go ahead. This is 8.5 by 11 Bermuda Bay. So let's bring this in. We do need to open our arm. Okay, so we're going to move this over to the 7.5 mark. So right there, and we're going to go ahead and pull our trimming blade down and cut. And we're going to save that because we're going to use that to make our card. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to turn this side and line this up at 7.5, and we'll cut that as well. Now, while we have this in the trimmer, now we're going to go ahead and score it. So the darker color, as you saw, is my cutting blade. That's this one. And then the gray one here is the scoring blade. So we're going to move the cutting blade out of the way. And then we want to score this at 2.5 inches. So we're going to bring this over to 2.5. And the nice thing about our trimmer is it's got this header up here that you can butt your paper up. And then you also want to make sure that you've got it lined up on the line, okay? So we're going to score this at 2.5 inches, and then we're going to slide it over and score at 5 inches. So we're going to get it over here at 5, and we'll go ahead and score again. Now we're going to turn, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to line it up at 2.5 inches, and we're going to move it down to 5 inches, and we're going to score that, okay? So that's all we need to do for our box. Now we're going to, for our lid, we're going to cut a piece of 4.5 Whisper White at 4.5 square, which is 4.5 by 4.5. So let's go ahead and move this in here. We're going to line this up at 4.5, put everything together. So that's at 4.5. We're going to turn and put this at 4.5 as well, and then we're going to cut that as well. Okay, now on this one, let's move our trimmer out of the way, and then we're going to score this at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Now, this trimmer, if you can see, Stampin' Up, it has it where it goes up to, this is 1 1/4, it goes up to 1 1/2. So it's going to be easier because I can hold my paper. So I'm going to line this up at the 1 inch mark there. And we're going to go ahead and score that. And then I'm going to turn, and I'll line it up again at the 1-inch mark, score. And then we're going to line this up again, and we're going to do this on all 4 sides of a piece of Whisper White. And we'll do it one more time. All right, and we'll go ahead and score that. Okay, so that's all we need the paper trimmer for. Now the next step is you're going to take your bone folder and your paper snips. So let's go ahead and work on the top. We're going to fold all 4 sides, and then we're going to cut up our flaps, and we'll put our top of the box together. And then, well, we'll do that in just a second because we're going to add a piece to it. But let's go ahead and let's leave that there like that, because we do have one more cutting to do, which I forgot. So let's do that, and then we'll put the cutting blade away. So this is the So Ombre. This is Rococo Rose on the back and Bermuda Bay on the front. So this is what we're going to use, and these come in 6x6 pieces. So we're going to cut, we need 4 squares at 2 1/4. Okay, so we're going to line this up at 2 1/4. Sure we've got it straight, and we're going to cut this at, let me move my scoring blade out of the way. We're going to cut this at 2 1/4, and then I'm going to do another one because I know I'm going to need another sheet at 2 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and line this one up and cut that as well. I'll put this off to the side because we're going to use that for something else too. So now I'm going to turn this, and we can cut these together because we're going to do 2 1/4 on each side, right? On each one. So we need 4. So I'm going to double this up, and we're going to do 2 1/4 right here. So we can cut this, and then I'm going to do 2 more at 2 1/4. And this paper's thin enough that you can do it on the trimmer. You can cut both of these at the same time. And I'm going to make sure it's butted up, and we're going to cut that again. We're going to save this because we'll need that as well. So we've got 4 pieces here. And then I'm going to cut this strip here that we cut off from our cardstock. I'm going to cut this down to make our inside of our card, and this is going to be 2 1/2 inches wide. So we're going to cut it at 2 1/2. So we're going to line it up at 2 1/2. Actually, it's going to be 2 1/2 by 5. So I'm going to cut this at 5 inches. That way I've got a bigger piece that I can use for something else later on. So let's go ahead and cut this at 5 inches. All right, so this is a scrap that I can use for something else, but that's a good size scrap. And then I'm going to turn this and then line this up at 2 1/2 inches. So we'll go ahead and put that at 2 1/2 right there. And we're going to make sure we've got that lined up, and we'll trim that down. And then you can score this in half, but I'm just going to fold it. So I'm just going to fold it, and then we'll do that. All right, and then I'm going to take, I think that's it. I think that's all we need to take. So we're going to go ahead and fold this piece of cardstock in half. This is going to be our little love note. So we're going to fold that in half and go ahead and burnish. All right, and then what we're going to do is one of the scraps that we cut off, we're going to just go ahead and glue that on here. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll have this done until we need to decorate it. Just open this glue so it's a little, coming out a little thick there. All right, so we'll go ahead and attach this, and then we'll finish decorating this once we get done doing our box. All right, so we're just going to lay that right there. And as you can see, I've got glue oozing out, which is fine. I'm going to leave that there for a minute. And I'm actually going to wipe it off on my craft mat. So this is another must-have. You can put your glue on here, and then you can wipe it off, wash it off at the end of the day. Now what I'm going to do is let this dry, and then I will be able to take this off using my glue eraser. So I just want to try to get off as much as I can since that oozed out. So we'll erase that. Now we're going to bring in our box. Oh, we've got to cut one more. My apologies. I'm going to use another piece that's in that paper, and this is more of a plain sheet, and I'm going to cut one for the top of the box. Your designer paper for the box is 2 1/4 square, and I'm going to use the lighter side, so I'm going to go ahead and line this up to 2 1/4, and we'll go ahead and cut that, and then we'll turn it, and we'll do 2 1/4 here, and now we should be done with our cutting. So we're going to add that to our pile, and then these pieces we have left that we can use for something else. Okay, now I think we're done with that. Now let's pull in our cardstock to make our box. Okay, so we've got all of our score lines. So I'm going to go ahead and fold on all of the score lines and burnish with my bone folder. Okay, so we want to fold all 4 sides. And this is giving your cardstock, it gives it a good crease so that it will lay flat. And then we'll do the last side, and we'll go ahead and burnish that. Now, we're going to cut up on the lines right here on on two sides. And I may come back and do a little bit of trimming just to make sure if I don't get these straight. So, now I'm going to cut in on this because these are sticking out a little bit. So I'm just going to notch this. We are going to cut all, I'm going to take this one because it's a little bit too wide right here. So I'm just going to just barely trim that off and just snip a little piece off so that it lays, it's going to fold a little bit cleaner. And this one is going to be a little bit, and that's only because when I cut it on the score line, I didn't cut it exactly down the center. So this is a way that you can just trim up your pieces. It'll be fine. All right, so there's our box. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and attach our squares. Let me move my 3 sides. We're going to put our squares on one side all together, okay? I've got one that's a little bit darker, so I think I'm going to put that one in the center. And we're just going to add our adhesive. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on here. Hopefully it doesn't ooze out. We're going to go ahead and attach this down. You can use whatever adhesive you want. I'm using the Tombow. All right, and you see how it fits in, and it's got a little bit of a border. So we'll do that all right here. And I just want to make sure I get my corners because that's the main thing because we don't want our corners to lift up. And we'll go ahead and lay this one down there. And then we've got another piece that we're going to do. And again, you can use whatever. The Tombow I don't like it getting on my fingers, but it works well because it allows you a few minutes if needed that you can position your paper. Now our fourth one, we're going to put in the middle, opposite the middle one. So we're going to put it on the other side, opposite the center right side, or the opposite side that you put your cards on. There's our box. Let's make sure we got all these down. And then what we'll do when we get ready to fold this, now we want to leave this one, so these 2 center ones will come up, right? Now see, that one's got the paper on it, correct? So we're going to hold that like that. This one has the other 3, so we're going to pull them together, and then there's your box. Isn't that cute? Very easy to make. All right, so there's our box. Now let's do our lid because we haven't done that yet. So we've got our lid. Now we're going to cut up all the 4 corners. We're just going to trim up on each end. So we're going to trim here, and again, I'm going to do a little edging there to just kind of trim it out. And then we're going to come on this side, and we're going to cut these as well. All right, and I'm going to do another little trim, all right, just to make sure that it folds in well, and which it doesn't hurt. You're just cutting a little sliver off. It just helps when you go to fold it, okay? All right, so we're going to pull that off. This one, I'm going to go ahead and use my seal because it's a little bit stronger. And what you're going to do is you're going to put adhesive. We're going to put our paper on here first, but we're going to put adhesive on all 4 flaps, and then we're going to fold them over, and we're going to make the box. Now this is the outside. I'm going to trim just a little bit on the outside. Otherwise, it's going to stick up outside of the box. So just come in if you want. Just trim a little bit off at an angle. It doesn't have to be much, but you just enough that it doesn't stick out. It doesn't show up outside the card. It's not going to hurt it if it does, but it just makes it look cleaner. All right, so we'll cut that one off, and then we'll come down and trim this one off as well. We're just going to do a little smidge. So we've got those done. All right, let's go ahead and put our piece on here. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and add that. Glue is just oozing out all over. Let's put that, whoopsie. Let's put that on here. Now let's go ahead and add our adhesive on the 4 squares. I'm going to use my craft mat so that I don't get adhesive on my work space, which then gets in the way of everything else. And we'll do that on all 4 sides. And I just put a little bit on each, the bottom and the top, just so that we have enough, because we want to make sure that it holds our box. Now when we fold this, you don't want to fold it completely even. You want to leave like about a 1/16 or an 1/8, probably just a little, like a 1/16 of an inch, not much. But you don't want to pull it all the way to the edge, to the corner. See, we don't want it like that, because it's going to be a little too tight. So we want to just make it a little bit loose, just a smidge, just so that we make sure that it does go over our box. So again, I'm just going to leave a little bit of room, and I'm going to tack these down. Now see, I didn't trim these up very, very well, so I'll just have to come back and trim them again. It's not a big deal. So we'll come back in here and leave a little bit of an edge for the lid. We're just going to leave a little bit of a gap, no biggie. All right, so some of these I didn't trim enough, which is all right. It's no big deal. I'm going to just trim them off because it's just the way I am. So I'm just putting my snips right here, and I'm just going to trim up that's what's hanging off. It's not a big deal. And if you don't want to, you'll be fine. You don't need to worry about it. But this is why it's better if you do it before you put your lid together. But it works. So we'll just snip that off. Let me get in here. I'm trying to get my scissors butted up against the lid top. All right, so there's our lid. So now what we will do is let's go ahead and we're going to pretend, let's do our sentiment, and then we'll put that inside the box so that you'll see it. We're going to stamp on a piece of, let's see, what do we got? I think we'll stamp on the heart, and we're going to stamp a pair of lips, and we're going to punch these out with the punch. So we're going to do our lips there. Oops, that one didn't come out very good. I didn't get enough ink. Let's do another pair. So there's our lips. Don't you love these? They're so realistic. And then we're going to do a heart. Go ahead and punch this out. So we're going to bring in the punch, and it fits perfectly. So we're going to put our lip in there, and look at that. What a perfect punch. And then we just going to lift it, punch it out. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the heart. I'm going to pull the heart in here and get that lined up. And we're going to pop that one out. All right, so that's all we're going to do. Now you can use whichever color you want. I'm just using the Bermuda bag. Let's go ahead. Now we're going to stamp. I went ahead and cut a Stitch So Sweetly piece of Whisper White so that I can use this for my sentiment. So this is part of the stamp set. It has XOXO. So we're going to go ahead and ink that up in the same color. So everything's going to be, for the most part, monochromatic. It's going to be all the same color. All right, so we're going to stamp this towards the bottom center and close up our ink pad because that's all the stamping we're going to do. And then we are going to bring in our Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to pop this up. We're going to take our heart, and we're going to put a dimensional on here, and then we're going to put that on our sentiment right here, okay? And then we're going to take the lips, and we're going to put that on 2 dimensionals, and we're going to place that on the inside on our card. This is going to be our little love note. So I'm going to put that there. And I've got to erase that glue because it's a little sticky. So I'm just going to take my eraser. We used to sell these. We no longer sell these, but I think you can find them on Amazon. One of my fellow demonstrators said she found some at Dollar Tree like a year or so ago, but every time I go in there and look, they don't have them. But they take the stickiness off. All right, and then for your inside piece, we're going to cut, because let's measure it. It's 2.5, so we want to cut a square that's 2.25 squares. So you'll put a piece of white in here, okay? And then we're going to pretend we have put our candy, I've put chocolate kisses. So we're going to put some chocolate kisses in those. And then we're going to fold this together. Make sure we've got all our sides. And then we're going to add our lid. And then we're going to finish decorating the top. So we're just going to push this in just a little bit and get our lid on there. And there you go with our lid. And then we're going to take this sentiment and we're going to lay that on there. But we're going to wrap some ribbon around it. And this is Pool Party. Our sheer ribbon, which is Pool Party. So we're going to wrap this, and this is, since it opens right here, you know, the flaps, I'm going to make this my front of the box. So that's going to be my back. So we're just going to tie some of this around, and you can do it, we can do it whichever way you want. Let's do it this way, and then we'll have our sentiment sitting on the ribbon. So I'm going to turn it first, I'm going to tie it, and we'll move, once we get it tied, then we can shift the ribbon to where we need it. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that and get our bow tied. Sometimes it feels like you need to have like 2 extra hands to help do all this, right? That through, and then we'll adjust our size of our ribbon. So we're going to hold the knot in the center and then pull your threads down, and that's how you can adjust your bow. All right, so I think that's where I want it. I'm going to slide it up just a little bit. No, actually, let's do it this way. I need to turn my bow because I want it. Sheer ribbon works really well. I'm going to take my paper snips, and, well, these are my ribbon scissors. Cut this at an angle, and I'm going to cut this one at an angle. All right. So we're going to put this, I got glue on my hands. So we're going to twist this a little bit so it's more even, and then I'm going to slide this up just a little. And we've got our candy. We're going to put 2 dimensionals on this, so we have our Hershey Kisses in there. And then we're going to pop this on there, that right about there. And then all we have to do is kind of twist our ribbon and then get that how you want it to look. And then there is our box. Isn't that the cutest thing? So cute and quick to make. So this would make perfect for Valentine's coming up. Something really quick that you can make. Throw some Hershey Kisses in there or whatever kind of chocolate, and you're good to go. And you could even make these for your girlfriends, boyfriend, husband, significant other. All right, thank you so much. Again, I'm Dawn Duval with Shall We Stamp. Make sure that you, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my channel, the bell, so that it will remind you anytime I upload new videos. All right, thanks again, and I'll see you soon.